Hey there, how are you doing today? I have something a little different. Um, I don't know if you know this, but I am like one of these serious readers. I'm a bookworm, have always been since I was probably since I probably learned how to read. And when I was a little kid, I used to read the most inappropriate books because my father would have all these books and it's the only thing that was around the house. And so that's what I would read. I learned to read a lot of stuff. But today, what I wanted to talk about was just a few of my favorite, at least at this moment in time, favorite fitness books or health related books. In case you've got somebody that you would like to get a book for Christmas or the holidays, and or if you just want to get yourself something really fun. So listen in because I've got a few for you today. So thank you so much for being here. Um, the first one that I have on my list is from Julia Goodfellow Smith, and she was on the podcast back in, I think, June. It was episode 122. And Julia is this amazing woman who a few years ago decided that what she wanted to become was a professional adventurer. And that was her thing, right? And she realized that we all have what she calls bucket list items that, there are things that we might be thinking that we want to do. It would be fun to do. It would be a big deal to do. We'd need to train to do it maybe. So she has all these bucket list items, or people have these. Everyone did. She said she had a lot. But what happens is that most of them, they're not defined. They're not clearly written out. They're like one of those things that wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice? And instead, Julia decided that she was just going to write a book, and it's called Live Your Bucket List: Simple Steps to Ignite Your Dreams, Face Your Fears, and Lead an Extraordinary Life Starting Today. And that's what she did. She just wrote this book and dove in. It is a lot of fun. It is instructional as well as entertaining. If you want to go back and listen to the episode where I interviewed her, it was back, I think, episode 122, and it will link it in the show notes, but she's a blast. She's crazy. Okay. She's crazy. And I can say that because I'm a little crazy myself. So her first, the story I have to tell really quick was she decided to raise money for her first adventure. She was going to raise money, not for her, but for the marine conservation, because she loves to do things that gives to others. So in order to get a lot of attention for the marine conservation, she dressed up as a squid. Like all these, you got to see the photo, all these tendrils flying off of her, like made out of just material, and hiked like this ridiculously long hike in I think it was in Wales. So it's a fun story, and it's a super enlightening story. If you've always had like that idea that there's some things on a bucket list, grab her book. Okay, the next one I've got is called It's Never Too Late. And this is by Kate Champion. And Kate's going to be on the podcast in a couple of episodes. She wrote this. I don't even know how I found this book. It's one of those books that just kind of like falls into your world. And so Never Too Late, the subtitle is Inspiration, Motivation, and Sage Advice from 7 Later in Life Athletes. Well, later in life to her was pretty much 60, 70, 80, 90 years old. And so it wasn't kind of like, you're going to hear how a great person at 40, ran a marathon. No, you're going to hear about I think her name was Sister Madonna Booter, who's like 87 years old and does triathlons, like continues to do triathlons year after year after year. And another one was, I think his name was Butch, who was about 62 when he started running. And now he's doing ultra marathons, like, 100-mile, 200-mile runs. And then, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. I don't want to give it away, but I will tell you that if you have anyone in your life who needs to be encouraged, like they're like, oh, I'm too old to. No, you're never too old to. Believe me, you got to get this book. It is fun. It's a quick read. It's easy. And you walk away going, wow, those people rock. and I guess everyone can. So that is Never Too Late by Kate Champion. And listen, she'll be on the podcast in just a couple of weeks. So the next one I have is Becoming a Supple Leopard. Okay. First, like, who doesn't want to be a supple leopard, right? I was looking for a book on running, and I literally ran into a book called Ready to Run. And that's how I first met Kelly Starrett. And he was on the podcast back in, I think, June or July. It was episode 123, and we'll link to that episode too. Like, he is so much fun. He is so cool. He is basically like, a force of nature. And he wrote this book called Becoming a Supple Leopard. And I was like, that's the best book title I've ever heard. I've got to get it. So if you're watching this instead of listening to it on the podcast, if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, you got to check out this book. You can see, like, it's about the size of, for those of you who remember back in the day when it was, the huge dictionary, the huge thesaurus, Webster's dictionary. Like, that's how this is. But what it talks about is, it's about resolving pain. It's about preventing injury. It's about becoming a better athlete. And to me, it's about learning to live in your body. Because as we do things, as we grow, as we evolve, things do happen, right? You pick up something weird and you twitch something, or you run a race and something doesn't feel right. Whatever it is, a lot of times the first thing that we're told is stop. Just stop, rest, ice, compression, put your leg up, don't move off your butt for 3 weeks or whatever it is, right? And he's got a little different look on that. And I have used a lot of his tactics. You don't have to go through the whole book. Like, you can use this book as kind of a, hunt and peck is what I do with it. Hurt something, find it. Find it in the book. I'm not going to read the entire thing because it is quite the read. But you know what? It's the kind of book that if I was reading it at night and I fell asleep and it landed on my face, I'd probably give myself a headache or a head injury. But it's really, it's a fun book, and it's a really, it's one of those things you should have on your list, on your shelf, if you're an athlete. The next one, and this is called Balance is Power. And his subtitle is Improve Your Body's Balance to Perform Better, Live Longer. It's Jim Klopman. And he's going to be on the podcast in a few weeks too. But this came about because in our Fit is Freedom experience, every month we do something called the experiment. So each month we have a different experiment. 1 month, I don't know when it was, I think it was August, the experiment was all around balance. And it came up because first, I took a header off a trail. Like, I don't even know what I tripped on. I really don't know. I was doing a run, caught my foot on probably a root, went flying, and I thought, that didn't feel very good. And luckily for me, I bounce. But what I thought about was all the times that people don't bounce when they fall. And it happens. In fact, I have a very morbid thing that I say all the time, which is that we're going to all most likely live a very long time because medical science is going to keep us alive, right? It is up to us to take care of ourselves so that we're living a really vibrant, healthy, athletic life. But the thing that's happening more than anything is that I think it's been over like the last decade, deaths by falling have doubled. And it's not just death. It's like, you fall. It happened to my mother. She fell, she broke a hip. And it was just kind of like, here's this woman who was like amazing. And then in just a few years, she had passed away. So it's up to us to really know how to take care of our balance. And balance is something that comes back fast. Like, you'll be shocked. You can get this book. There's some videos that go along with it online. You'll do the test. You'll go, oh, well, I'm not so good standing on that left side, or whatever it is. Maybe I'm really good on the right, not good on the left. Doesn't matter. You do the test, and then come back and do the exercises consistently. And they're silly easy exercises. We're not talking about hours, we're talking about minutes in a day. And you'll find within 2 weeks that your balance has changed tremendously. If you want to keep going, like you want to take it to another level, he does a lot of slacklining. I don't know if you know, slacklining is basically where you're tightrope walking for those of us who grew up in the days of people, doing that. But that's slacklining. He's not saying that we need to be doing that. I'm not saying we need to be doing that, but I am saying that we really need to be paying attention to our balance. This is a great, easy, quick book with videos to go along with it that makes it like a snap to get your balance back. The next one that I have is called The Fitness Mindset. And his subtitle is Eat for Energy, Train for Tension, Manage Your Mindset. Brian Keene. And I don't know Brian, but what I like about this book is that he's one of the first people out there I've seen that takes, like, he'll take his personal fitness training background, right? And he melds it into motivation and mindset. And you know me, I think that motivation and mindset is pretty much where everything starts, whether it's with your fitness or your health or, how life is, doesn't matter. But he has that background in being a trainer also. So he's really good at giving you some ideas on what to eat, some of the different things that you should be doing, and at the same time, how to manage your mindset. So just actually, he and I are singing to the choir, right? I know you know this. So the next one is what I call the best kept secret, the blue zones. I think everyone should know about the blue zones. And Dan, I'm probably going to butcher his last name, but I think it's Butener. He's written several books all around the blue zones. And what blue zones are is the places in the world where people live extraordinarily long lives well. So they have longevity, they feel good, they have community, they have this fitness lifestyle that they're living. They have relationships. Usually there's a big spiritual piece to it. So the blue zones, he talks about them, but in his book, what he really talks about is how you can take the idea of the blue zones and apply it to our lives. I think this is probably one of the most important books for us right this minute, because the last couple of years we've been very, very isolated and separated from community. And community is one of those things that keeps us healthy, keeps us going, keeps us alive, and keeps us well. So he talks about that in there, and he just talks about some pretty interesting things. And you can either just jump online, check out his website, which is thebluezones.com, I think, and it tells you, a lot about what I'm talking about. Or you can dive in, read the book, get the recipe book. Recipe book's very good. And it's, I think I'm gonna just kind of run down a blue hole here for a second, but it's something that we should all be aware of, because it's the kind of things that not only keep us healthy and well, it keeps us healthy and well and living these lives that are just like amazingly fun and vibrant. So that's the blue zone. The next one I've got for you, and this is actually a business book. It's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And the reason that it's in this list is that a lot of times people read The Big Leap because they feel like it's either, it's business relationship book, basically. They feel like something's stopping their success. And in the book, they talk about success in relationship and business. And yet, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say something. A lot of times when I have clients or friends or people I know who have, let's say, changed their lifestyle completely. Maybe they've lost a lot of weight. Maybe they've taken up exercise and really like shifted everything. Whatever it is, they've changed something physically and made a big difference. So they've made that big leap, right? And then they slide back. Happens a lot. Like just kind of like slips right back to where you were before. Suddenly they quit working out, or suddenly they start eating inappropriately again, or whatever it is, and everything slips backwards. And the big leap is about having those leaps where something goes really, really well for you. You are now in a different place. You're now in that place that you've been looking to be in, and how to stay there. That's the leap. The leap is not just getting there, but it's developing all the habits and beliefs and everything around life that keeps you where you got there, keeps you where you want to be. So, Big Leap, great business book, great relationship book. I think it's a great health book too. All right, just a couple more books I'd like to mention. These are brain science books. And if you've listened to this podcast at all, you know I'm blown away by how brain science and brain studies have changed, like literally every year. Every year we know more than we did the year before. And if you go back 10 years ago and then look at now, the things that we know are astonishing. So the first one is called Limitless. And Limitless is by a gentleman named Jim Quick. And Jim Quick is all about teaching you how to enhance your brain, enhance your memory, use your brain better, like basically live your life really, really well because you're paying attention to what's going on in the middle of your brain, paying attention to what's going on in your head. And he's got lots of easy like exercises in there, lots of easy suggestions. If you're not a big reader, he has a great podcast. It is always like 20 minutes or less. But as I say, what I would suggest is if you're at all interested, Limitless is a great book, especially when you're ready to learn about how to get your memory working better, how to get your brain working like on steroids, without doing steroids. Last one that I have for you is and this is another brain book, okay? Any book by Daniel Amen or Daniel Amen. I'm actually not sure how he says his name, but he is one of those cutting edge guys out there. He is somebody that is relatively controversial, but at the same time, if you read some of his stuff, follow a little bit of it, I think you're going to see big changes. And if you have someone in your life that you think it might be great for, maybe grab them the audiobook if they're not a big reader. But either one of those gentlemen, great for brain science, brain learning, keeping our memory and our brain going strong. So that's my list. Just real quick to run back through it. You can get this whole list on our show notes. Okay, we've linked them all for you. But first one is the Live Your Bucket List. The next one was Never Too Late. Then, of course, Becoming a Supple Leopard and Balance is Power. Like, I'm going to talk more about the experiments in another podcast, but every month we do an experiment, and those are the kind of experiments that change lives. Like, I'm still in my blue hole, right? But I'm just going to say, like, learning to reinitiate your balance is so much easier than most of us realize, and it's so much more important than probably any of us know. And then we've got, of course, the fitness mindset, the blue zones, and the big leap. And since I'm not reading Jim's book right now, I might have forgotten one, but that'll give you at least 10 books, 8 books to get started with. So thank you so much for being here, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I will see you again next week, and thank you. See ya. Bye-bye.